we are live. This is officially the first live stream for Take It or Leave It. And my name is Francis Marie Tevres, giving you another episode to help you find your true passion in tech, one podcast at a time. I'm so excited for this episode. And if you're wondering why I decided to do a stream, it's because it's a podcast or a stream for a purpose. I am joining hashtag Podcast United. So it's a series of live streams featuring local podcasts to help raise funds for COVID-19 frontliners via the Frontline Feeders Philippines in partnership with the Podcast Network Asia and PayMaya. So shout out to all our frontliners there, to all people from Podcast Network Asia, and to everyone watching this video. So I just want to do a quick check if we really are live. So if you are watching and if you are live, please comment down below so that I know I'm not talking to no one. Yes, so this episode's topic is actually remote work, like working from home, the reality of working from home. I decided to create a hashtag ECQ Diaries, like what COVID-19 has taught us and taught me in general. And before, I wanted to do this at a vlog format, like how am I actually coping with, being home alone. And then I know it's definitely a privilege to actually work from home, because I think tech is one of those fields that are very capable to, my Google Home just answered me, very capable to actually connect and then, connect to the internet, bring their work at home, and then you're good. But now I know that's just the tip of the iceberg. We will be talking more about, is the Philippines really coping with telecommuting in a good way, or we'll be talking about if it's really working in both the employee and HR point of view. So personally, before I introduce our next guest, I actually felt a little bit weird working from home. Like, I have tried working from home because when we were at college, we are working from home. Our theses, our capstones, we do it at home. We put an all-nighter, then go back to school, and then do again on the same day, and the routine on and on. But when you're working, you have a workspace, you have a comfy chair, you have multiple desks, you have good internet connection, and you have people to talk to when you're stuck, you have a bug, or basically you have people to have lunch with. I know that my problems sometimes might come off as, it's a simple problem with everything that's been going on with COVID-19. But what I learned during this pandemic is, you need to really give focus on your well-being, your mindset, basically, if you're feeling a little anxious or you're feeling sad in this situation, it's really fine, and you need to address those problems and give it solutions. So for me, I've been working from home for about a month and a half already, and I'm not sure if this will continue, but aside from the environment and the internet, I think I'm coping well. There is one thing that is is continuously a problem to me, like scheduling, like being back on track, because when you're working, you have to wake up at 7 or at 8, so you need to go to work at 9. But when you are at home, you can wake up at 9 and then come in at 9 and you're jammy. So it's a bit of a new change, or it's a big transition to what we are used to. But is it a good one or a bad one? Probably you're saying it's a good one, but we can get into more about how we are supposed to act during remote work, and how leaders and company employers are supposed to expect to their employees during this time. Yes. So the title of this episode is, let me just go to my cheat sheet. Of course, this is Podcast United. This is the reality of remote work. So with me, the guest of this podcast, episode 21, is a previous guest. She was in our March Women Leaders or Lady Boss series. She is the founder and president of Aleph Talent Solutions, and I have been really seeing her posts of with everything in the pandemic's been going on. I actually find it very insightful. And of course, her post in Business 101 is also amazing. Without further ado, to give us an HR point of view and, of course, an employer point of view of remote work, let's welcome Miss Connie Barrientos Carey.
Hi friends, hi
Hi, Miss Connie.
everyone. Hello.
How are you,
Hi.
Miss Connie?
I'm good. Like what's it? Day 50, day 51. I've lost track. It's what like we all just say day or night. We don't know what day it is already. Like it's just like now it's like you sleep, you wake up, you go to work, and that's it. It doesn't matter anymore.
I think for me, I don't really count the days anymore, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's like yesterday, today, and tomorrow for me,
Oh
except
yeah.
on weekends, because I don't really count anymore.
That's when I asked my husband, like, is it Saturday today or what day is it today? Because like that's when, like, okay, Saturday, I'm going to watch TV today. If it's not Saturday, I'll just work and do other things. Because Saturday is the day when you go on a Netflix binge. Like, you
Mm.
put your good talent to good use. Like watch four seasons worth of a show in 2 days. So that's what we've been doing lately.
I did that with Money Heist. Like I watched 4 parts in like a week. I'm
Wow.
sorry. I stayed
Okay.
up around 3 a.m. because I don't
Mm-mm.
really get enough sleep right now. But yeah, enough of the Netflix. How are you, Miss Connie? Like,
I'm good. Thank
how's
you.
COVID-19?
It's well, as you can see, as you mentioned, like on my post, it's very worrying. I'm worried about it a lot, not just for me, but for everyone, for people like me who are business owners, people in recruitment, basically for everyone, because this is a time of great anxiety and uncertainty. It's like and not like but we were shaken up and our routines were taken away from us. It's just everything that we've known has changed. And I know and I'm sure that everyone's kind of having an iffy time right now. Like if you're saying that this hasn't affected you in a way, I really think you're lying. This has affected all of us. For some people, worse than others. Actually, there has been an increase of cases of anxiety and depression, which is very alarming as well. Because it's a very isolating, literal isolating experience. Because you have to stay at home. Well, for some of us with families, it's good because we have people with us. But can you imagine people who live alone, people who are far from families, and they live alone in their apartment? So that must be really lonely.
I can attest to that. It is very sad. Like normally, I would go home for Holy Week,
Yeah,
to my hometown, and then this time I celebrated, away from family. So I think it's something like it pushed me to become an adult like very quickly. Like this is the first time. But with everything, I really feel blessed that I am here, safe at my home. I'm here, had the privilege of working from home,
mm-mm.
and basically, there are people who have it harder. Like they lost their jobs, they were laid
Yeah,
off, and then
yeah.
imagine 1 million people lost their jobs due to this pandemic. And I think
I
most
know.
companies right now are trying to implement remote work or working from home
Mm-mm.
because
Mm-mm.
they wanted to save the economy, or at
True.
least help it somehow, like with
Mm-mm.
this. My first question, actually, Miss Connie, is in your opinion, like, how are we really handling remote work in general? Like, with the environment, with the preparedness, with, attitudes of
Yeah.
Filipino people. Like, how are we handling this in general?
Like there are companies that have already been practicing remote work. Like they give their people flexible hours, flexible times, which like I have so much respect for. They're ahead of the curve in the Philippines anyway. When if we're talking about preparation, the Philippines in general, no, we are not prepared for it. Like when you read on the headlines that the spokesperson, the presidential spokesperson actually tells you, please do not stream on Netflix because people need the bandwidth. So the question is, why did you not prepare the IT infrastructure beforehand? Um, there was a study on Harvard Business Review, and I posted it. I think you saw it, France. Like, we're actually in the middle. We are not ready for it, but at least we're not at the last. Okay. Our internet is not reliable and it's expensive. It's slow. And now with everyone working from home, we are competing for the bandwidth. It is insane. So unfortunately, I have to be honest. Productivity wise, I do not think this is the best for all of us. So because you have that, you have choppy internet, you have slow internet. It's hard. And we were not ready for this. Even our HR policies, most companies, we don't have policies that cater to workers that work from home because we're used to office-based workers. So you judge people based on attendance, based on tardiness. But with the new normal, we have to change that. There's a big difference between working for hours on end and actually producing something. This is high time for us to be production oriented, productivity oriented. So we have to like reward or improve people's performance, or talk to them about their performance based on their productivity, based on what they actually bring to the table. Because according to a study, a person's average attention span is 8 seconds. So if you work in the office, good, because you have your boss and you don't have a choice. You really have to work or
You have
pretend to
someone to
work.
watch on you.
Yeah, you have someone watching you like a hawk. So okay, I'm pretending to work. I'll tab. So I know a lot of people are really good at alt tabbing. So the magic of alt tab. But when you're at home, it's it becomes more of a struggle because you have to motivate yourself because nobody is there to tell you, "Hoy, you're slacking."
Mm-mm.
So it really has to be an internal drive. So that's why I now is the time to not base your performance or someone's performance on the hours that they put in, but on the productivity. So I would suggest for HR people, have like list down the task, list down weekly goals, list down monthly goals, then meet about it every week. You don't have to constantly micromanage your people because as mentioned, Zoom is the winner in all of this. Unfortunately, we don't have the bandwidth.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, just have weekly meetings. You don't have to constantly micromanage people. Just tell them where they are at the moment. um, Constant feedback is important, micromanaging is not. So there's a difference between the two. That's why like now I really hope like us, like we as HR people, we as managers, we really have to change or at least revise our performance standards and our company policies because things have changed now. We've always thought about disruption, like right for the last 2 or 3 years. So we've thought about and talked about disruption, but we didn't think that it will happen in a single year, in a single quarter. We talked about it, but we did not exactly prepare for it, and now we're here. So we don't have a choice but do something about it.
Like I don't think we don't have I don't think we have another choice but to actually make working from home work, because if this
Mm,
fails, like the economy
yeah,
fails with it, and that's super scary. Like I know everyone
I
is having a
know.
hard time now, so imagine if recession really will like happen in this year. Oh my gosh, like
It's
this is
scary. It's really
so
scary.
scary.
And I have so much respect for the companies, for the CEOs that took massive pay cuts, for the managers that took pay cuts, just so everybody can keep their jobs. Everybody is doing his or her part, which is very heartwarming. I
Mm-mm.
know people who have taken pay cuts, um, to save people's jobs. The private sector has been stepping up, burning out to a point, because this is not sustainable. because we keep donating, we keep working, but no business is coming in, no money's coming in. This is not going to work. So we have to make sure that after or come May 15, we can actually start, going back to our normal lives, although with certain adjustments. Because there's no way we can survive a longer quarantine period, unfortunately.
So by May 16 or May
15?
18,
16, yeah.
so 16 is a Saturday. So uh, what
18, yeah, Monday.
like in a tech side, like we probably had the biggest chance of going back to work. But
Yeah, definitely.
let's let's put that to the side and just focus more on what if we do working from home or telecommuting in a very long period of time for a tech company. How
Oh,
would
yeah.
that how is that effective, or is it good to do that? Or because if you look at it, the work from our point of view as an employee, the work is basically the
Mm-mm.
same. We have our laptops, we have our internet
Yeah.
connection,
We
and
can
then
work
we'll
anywhere,
do
basically.
we can work basically anywhere. So
Yeah.
for the tech companies, is it better to work from home or to actually establish offices? Like I know there's like a good side of having offices
Yeah,
because
there
people
always
can build
is. Can
camaraderie,
meet.
people can see each other,
Yeah.
and then but the
Mm-mm.
boss can still can really see you that you're working. But if it's not really possible, like what is like how much of productiveness or effectivity will working from home be?
Well, definitely it's going to be effective. It's going to be better. Can you imagine, like, before the pandemic, we were
Mm,
commuting 3 hours every day.
mm.
Like that took a lot from our productivity. We were tired when we got to the office. We were tired when we got home. So working from home is effective. Again, it's not about the number of hours you put in. It's the quality and the quality of your output, and the output that you give. So it's just a matter of exacting the output from your people. It's not about hours anymore. And what's good? Well, good is not a word to use, but um, but the thing about this pandemic is that it's showing us that yeah, we have to be productivity oriented and output oriented instead of time. Because the thing about paying people for time is because you is that you can pay someone who worked for 8 hours who didn't exactly produce anything, which is annoying. So reward for output, not for hours spent at work. Because God knows how many people just stay at work for hours watching YouTube. That's why we have IT policies in place to prevent that. So working from home really will work as number one, it's cost efficient. The worry now is the real estate bubble will burst. Cebu has a lot of condos, a lot of offices. And now, with the current situation, it just made us realize wait, it's doable to just have people work from home. So we don't have to spend too much on real estate and rent. The problem now is how are we going to improve our IT infrastructure to make this sustainable? The only reason why we have offices is that we have enterprise internet solutions that are faster than home based or for home internet connections. That's the only difference. But if we can improve our IT infrastructure, yeah, it works. Working from home works. Everyone's happy. If just make sure that when you have people working from home, you know where these people's addresses are, so just in case they don't respond, you can go and drag them
People
to the
stalk
office.
them.
Yeah. So like, oh, okay, you're not replying in 3 days. I've like asked you about your output for like 3 days now, and you're not replying. Well, where do you live? I'm going to go there and see you. So there, there has to be safeguards in place because um, we have been doing this for a while. We have outsourced workers, we have freelancers who have been working from home for ages, and it's
Exactly.
worked.
Mhm.
Yeah, right, and it's worked for ages. The only constant problem that I hear from clients is that it works if somebody is super motivated, but sometimes it's hard to monitor people. It's a monitoring issue. So that's why, like, have people work from home, but also have the ability to go to their houses if you need to, to drag productivity out of them. So there's
I
that.
actually, I actually have a two-part question or that, or I don't
Yeah,
think
sure.
one is a question. I think I just want, like, I think internet is the big concern, right? Like why
Yeah, it
people
is. We
want
really need to,
offices.
yeah, we need to improve it. We really do. Because if internet was good, like for me as a business owner, I'm just going to
Mm.
have everyone work from home. And I'll just meet them once a week, just to touch base and like orient everyone. This is our goal for the week. This is our goal for the month. See you next week, team lunch. And that's it. I don't have to pay expensive rent.
You don't have to pay for the comfy chairs or.
Yeah. And sometimes the chairs are not even comfy. It's comfy at
Mm.
home. Yeah, that's also the problem at home because, you're at home, you can't make a clear delineation between area for sleeping, area for work,
Yes.
area for eating. So that also kind of takes your productivity away. So I'd like to suggest for those of you who is not used to being self-motivated, entrepreneurs don't have a choice. We have to be self-motivated, otherwise we fail and families will suffer because we do have people depending on us, so we have to make it work. What you can suggest is like you list down what you need to do for the day, break it in portions. So work on the first 25 minutes. Okay, 25 minutes for one task. After 25 minutes, take a break for 5 minutes, and then repeat that 4 times. On the fourth time, that's when you take a longer break. Take a longer break, that's 30 minutes. It's actually called the Pomodoro technique. So it's a
Pomodoro thing.
it's a Pomodoro technique. It's a productivity hack. It's a time management hack. For those who are new at this and it's difficult for you to focus, you can try that. So it's actually a test and a training in focus. But for someone like me, what I do is I just um I just list down what I need to do for the day, and I don't stand up until I'm done with everything. So that's for me. That works for me. But for others, like especially there's moms working from home, and I know that is not possible. So you can do that. So break your tasks according to a certain number of minutes or hours until you complete everything.
I can actually attest, like there's no dedicated space. Like if
Yeah.
anyone can see, I am in my bed. So basically I don't have a chair. So I can just really lie down here, and then there's a temptation. At one point he actually took the covers off my bed so that I wouldn't be tempted to take a nap in the middle of the day. Because it's so hard to stay productive. It's so hard
Yeah,
to,
it is.
basically just.
It really is. It is like it's no joke. It's like a test of your mental strength. It's a test of character working from home. And like
Mm.
people like before, like oh freelancers, you work from home. That's easy. Ha now, like yeah, like how are you now working from home? It's not easy. Ha, is it?
I really commend actually freelancers who've been doing this a couple of years already and are actually
Mm,
doing, a good job at this, like especially working moms, because they can handle the
yeah.
chores, they can handle cooking, they can
Mm.
handle taking a bath. Like seriously, in my first week, not to sound gross, but I I waited like until the end of my shift to take a bath because I don't know if I should like take a break in the middle. Like how much time would I spend? Because I already used my lunch break for cooking. Like there's a schedule problem as well. So, I think as employees naman, Miss Connie, like what should we do aside from listing and scheduling or that having a dedicated space? Like how do we prove that, the company trusted us to work from home? How can we prove to them that, you can really trust us to actually do the work here?
Yeah, just deliver the output. What is asked of you? What's your deadline for the week, for the day? Deliver it, and we will not ask any more questions. That's basically what we want. If we tell you to, do something, and there's a deadline for that, the if you meet it, oh, we will not ask questions anymore. But if we have to keep reminding you, that's when we're like, I don't think this person is trustworthy. And so yeah, just make sure that if you have deadlines and you have goals for the month, you hit it and you exceed that, and we won't ask questions. We don't care if you go to the office an hour or 4 hours or eight. It doesn't really matter. What matters is what do you produce in the time that you are in the office or you are working from home. So it's not about working hard, it's about working smart. It's about being strategic. Like, this is going to be unpopular, like this is going to be political. Francis, I'm so sorry, I have to say this. Example, the rapid mass testing in Cebu. You have currently, now they're beginning to, have this mass testing, but it's not the correct testing materials that we need to have. And we don't even have the capacity to isolate these people. They're like, okay, if they're positive, just quarantine them. Don't isolate them. Does that solve the problem? No, it doesn't. Same for work. It's not about putting in an extra 14 hours of work. What is 14 hours of work if you're not producing? It's pointless. You're not going to get rewarded for wearing yourself out.
I actually like what you said. Like, if you put on 14 hours of work, but you're not actually doing a good, like, I don't
Yeah.
want to say, I don't want to add any politics in this podcast, because people now are so
I know,
sensitive
easily
in social
triggered
media.
and sensitive. Yeah, true.
I'm also one of those people who are sensitive sometimes, so I won't really add that here because I
So
don't
I'm just
want
like,
it to
I
be.
was, because like we were just talking about the mass testing, and I was like talking to my best friends, like, guys, are you going to get tested? What if you get called like, oh, you have to get this test? I'm like, I will tell them, dude, I don't want to get the test. I'll go to Chongwa myself and pay for it myself. I want the other test, the one that DOH says is correct. And then my best friend says, make sure your lawyer is on speed dial if that's the case. So
It's so hard right now. Like, you don't, I think a lot of people have their own stands and everything, like all the issues
yeah.
and stuff.
Mm,
And what the best thing that we can do right now is to actually try and cope with what we do, like
exactly.
help the
Mm-mm.
country flatten the curve in any way we can.
True. Like the right now, what we need is solidarity and empathy.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
like it's like I see this a lot of times. We're on the same boat. No, we're not on the same boat. For some people, it's harder. For some people, it's more comfortable. That's why, like, I'm proud to be a part of Bayanihan Mission, the group that I volunteer with. Um, because our goal is basically to provide food packs to people who are not qualified to get any form of help because they are non-voters, people who lost their jobs, our daily earners who lost their jobs, our urban poor, our homeless. So yeah, we provide food packs, we provide hot meals, we provide PPEs to our frontline workers, the medical and non-medical frontline workers, and we even have a shelter in Bacolod, France. Like our leader, Doc Jo, is actually from Bacolod. So if you can see, like if you go to Bacolod, like there's a shelter there in Alihis. And it's doing so well because they have the homeless people there. They have Zumba every day. Um, they get medical attention, and it's nice because you can see the community really coming together. Bongbongs donated, a lot of other century canning donated, and you just see that people want this to work, and that's like that kind of keeps me on track instead of being angry all the time, which I am recently, with, with with how inefficient things are being handled. And then I get messages from people every day telling me, "Ma'am, we don't have ECQ passes, we don't have food packs." People seem to forget I don't work for the government, but like I do what I can. Um, but that's why now, like I cope with it by seeing like all sorts of news about kindness, like what you guys do with your rice project. I think that's a wonderful idea, because you have no idea how much of a difference that does for people. Like when you get messages like, "Ma'am, even if it's just a kilo of rice, it will make a difference." So you can see, like, even the constant problems that we have to deal with and the constant inefficiencies with the LGU, when you see people like working together, it really does give you hope that yeah, it's going to work. Even if our internet is not the best at the moment, it will work.
Yes, definitely. Like we are, we should be a community right now. Like even if we
Yeah,
have different stands, even if we have different
that's
opinions
it.
and everything, with
Mhm.
the pandemic going on, we
Yeah,
have to have a united front because this we cannot
yeah. This is
survive if we're
exactly.
alone.
This is how I love. I love watching and hearing Governor Cuomo of New York. I love it when he said, "This is a we concept. This is about us. It's not about a thing that's them versus us. It's we. So like, if one person screws up, we're all dead. So this has to be a community effort. It's not just like, we leave a certain community because everyone's infected anyway. No, it's not that. Yeah, we have to look out for each other. Here where I live in Busai, it's actually really cute every day because at 7 a.m., France, no joke, 7 a.m. sharp, like they have on massive speakers, like they just start reminding people what to do, wash your hands, and they make jokes about, okay, if you're single, you don't get food packs, things like that. So I feel bad for single people living in Busai. Don't live in Busai if you're single. So, so they make jokes like that, and you can see like I went to the barangay hall a few days back, and I talked to the barangay workers, and yeah, 4,500 households are affected by um, by COVID, and 4,500 households had their breadwinner lose their job. Um, so what they did, like like in Busai, there were no complaints. They automatically, apparently, volunteered for Busai. So they became tanods. They guarded the small streets because everybody just wants to get this over and done with, so we can go back to our lives. Because I don't think people realize that nobody wants to beg.
Mm.
The homeless people that you see on the streets, they don't want to beg because that's practically a loss of dignity. I think that's what you need to realize. Nobody would be begging if they had any other choice.
Exactly, no. But since we're talking about community engagements and donations, I'd like to our viewers, I'd like to remind you that this is a podcast for a cause. We are included in the Podcast United, a series of live streams featuring local podcasts to help raise funds for COVID frontliners via Frontliners Philippines in partnership with Podcast Network and PayMaya. I forgot earlier how to donate, so I added like a scroll bar on how you can
There
donate.
you
So
go.
let me just read the script on how you can donate. I will also put a link and comment in the comment section below. You can donate in two ways, via web or via the PayMaya app. Just go to pymy.co/PNA United, that Podcast Network A United. Select the amount you want to donate and add to basket and check out. This is available for both local and foreign transactions. You can donate as from 50 to 10,000 pesos via PayMaya app. You can just pay bills and choose Podcast Network Asia as your partner, and you can just enter any amount that you can and then tap to continue. No minimum amount of donation through the app. I also added a link on my referral code. Each time that you create a new account for PayMaya, you get a 50 pesos referral code. I also get one. So all referral codes that you will use, that you will get using my code, will be donated to Podcast Network Asia as well if you look at it. And yes, I'm so happy that we have people joining us today. So how are you guys? It's a Wednesday and it's almost 6 p.m. So almost the end of our 8 hour
Is
shift.
it?
Yes, it's half of the week already. So let's
Oh my
go
God, it's
back.
Wednesday. It's
Yes, it's
midweek.
Wednesday.
Yeah, midweek tomorrow. Is it
Yes.
midweek tomorrow? Is it? Is it?
Tomorrow is a
Oh
May
no!
7th.
Oh, see, we forget what day. Is it Thursday tomorrow or is it Wednesday? No, I have to remember, fans, because like you can't get out, at any time. That's the thing about pandemics as well.
Oh,
Yeah, right. So we're even. So because the last digit of our car
car.
is zero. So yeah, we can only go out. even days. So I'm like, is it Wednesday today? Is it Thursday today? So I'm not
It
sure.
is a Wednesday. I
It is a
actually
Wednesday.
haven't went out
Yeah.
ever, so I'm not really sure like what to do when you're going out. I haven't went out. It's really amazing how a lot of people created online delivery services right now.
I
I have
know,
a
like it's creating like I love that it's giving birth to new businesses.
yes,
I
exactly. I tried numerous like delivery services. This one I'm using like a group like Cebu Tabang Express. They are a group
oh
of
nice.
motorists who are
Yeah.
like doing this for a cost. Like they're not really charging you anything. You just have to give them something for the gas and the tip, of course, if you have
Mhm.
any. So they're just there to help. Like this pandemic has indeed like came out our Bayanihan movement. Like
I
yes,
know, I know.
with
It
Bayanihan Mission, and then I'm also plugging the
yeah.
rice movement here. If you
Rice
any one of you
movement.
wants to support any displaced workers, go to our Facebook page, and you can get more details. I actually saw a lot of people like not really saw. I have experienced people chatting me, texting me in my personal number, like, "Mom, I like they can just ask
See,
a kilo of rice." And like
I
for me,
know
I'm
it
I'm the only,
happens.
I'm in charge of logistics only. I don't really handle beneficiaries
Yeah.
because I have to
Mhm.
call each one, and I'm more on the rice and then how they get delivered.
Distribution.
And I can't really help them because there's a
It's hard,
very
right?
long list. Yes, there's a very
It is.
long list.
It's very hard because like we have a team in Bayanihan Mission. We have a team who handles the inbox. I tried answering messages one day, and I told my teammates, I'm like, I can't do this. This is too hard. It's really hard. It's like people asking, like this one kid, and we're happy because we were able to help them. This one kid, I think he's from Luzon somewhere. Can you imagine? He's joined every single possible raffle on Facebook because he was desperate to get medicine for his mom, because they decided to just like take their mom out of the hospital because they couldn't pay for her medications anymore. So you hear stories like that. You have another story of a scavenger asking for help because his parents are senior citizens and they haven't gotten help from anywhere from the government. So you hear stories like this. You hear um, stories of we even get people from hospitals asking for help for the frontliners. So it's just too much. So I told my teammates, like, guys, I can't handle this. Please do this. I'd rather like concentrate on fundraising or asking for more partners and sponsors. But having to deal with that, it just takes a toll on you. It does. It really just makes you think like, wow, for the longest time before this happened, we have been complaining about so many things, and now we're realizing we're very spoiled, and we are so blessed in so many ways. We get to work from home. We still get paid. Unfortunately, not a lot of people are still getting paid. So there's that, and I'm just glad that you see the Bayanihan spirit alive and everybody is just helping each other.
That got serious so quick when we're talking about like donations and then people needing help. Whew. It's just a segue to the topic, but let's go back to actually working from home because I think we have a lot of horror stories. I think with that, like,
I know.
okay,
Yeah,
let's go back to proper decorum while working from home. This one, like, there's something must fun naman positive or something
okay.
like fails.
Less serious,
I've
yeah.
I've seen a lot of videos of people doing video chats and then they forgot they're
Yeah,
not really wearing any pants. So there's one
yeah,
guy from the
definitely.
US
I think I saw
who
that, the reporter. Yeah,
who
guys, like
forgot
make
that
sure make sure you like before you start any Zoom interviews, at least like have like wear decent clothes and make sure that it's not visible to your audience what you are or you're not wearing. So at least there's that. That's the thing about working from home. You forget because it blurs the lines. This is home. This is where we wear our rattiest pajamas and look scruffy. You're not see like can you imagine, like, we've bought so many clothes and shoes, so we look good at work, and now, like, we just, are living in, our favorite lounge pants, and that's it. Like, I bet there are people who barely take baths now. Like, you just take baths every, like, 2, 3 days, because nobody would know the difference anyway.
It's a challenge to actually get up and then be all dressed up today. I actually took a bath
Yeah,
earlier today because of this. My
yeah.
normal bath time is 7 p.m. So thank you for this podcast for forcing me to get up and then take a bath earlier. Yes, because I'm living alone. Like no one would care. Like, but it is a
Yeah,
challenge, and
it is.
I think it always comes down to scheduling when you're working from home. Like there's a schedule of cooking, there's a schedule of cleaning, there's a schedule of taking a bath.
That really helps. Just, like, don't throw your ordinary routine out, because that kind of gives you a sense of normalcy. So if you did that before the whole thing, like, let's say you would take a bath at 7 a.m. because you had to go to work at 8, just stick to that, because that still kind of gives you a sense of normalcy. That's why now, like, my husband and I, we look for coffee. So now, I'm not promoting Starbucks in any way, but they're open. So when we're able to go out, we drop by the drive-through and get coffee just to give us a sense of normalcy. Because otherwise, we'd go nuts. Because, like,
Always go
the
back to the routine.
routine, yeah, like the routine that kept you sane and kept you grounded before, do that. Because it's already bad enough, and we need to keep a level head. The first few days when this happened, like, it really threw me off. I am not going to lie. It threw me off. I stopped doing my usual things. I didn't have capoeira. I didn't have Muay Thai. I stopped meditating. It was really hard. And then now I'm trying to get back to it, because if I don't go back to it, I will not be as productive. Because your routines do make you productive. So do that.
So we've talked about having a routine, like waking up and then taking a bath and then doing all
Yeah.
your chores and then going back
Mhm.
to when you are actually working. So basically, when you talk about remote work, it's just like you only change location, but the work is still the same.
It's
To
still
make
the
it
same.
to make it very simple to everyone
You're
who is
you're
listening.
still working. Yeah, you're still working. Well, that's the difference. Like you mentioned, like the difference between remote work and freelance. Yeah, they're different. Remote work is that you're still working for the same company. You still have the same
Mm.
work, except that you're working elsewhere. You're not working in the office. So you're working far away. That's why it's called remote. So yeah, your remote work. So if you say freelance, you have different clients, you have different bosses, um, but you don't have to just keep to the schedule of one. So it's kind of, with freelance work, it's trickier because you really have to budget your time. You have to juggle your time as well, because that's several clients at the same time. And you are not going to be stuck with a client for a long time, because you can just decide, oh, this is not working for me. I'm just going to concentrate on the other client. However, with remote work, it still works. So if you want to leave, you really have to quit. You have to resign.
So
So
that's
that's
like
different.
that's a difference. And you also have to abide with the policies, like you need to
Oh
work from
yes,
this time and that.
yes.
Because even
And
if
these
we are
are your
free,
rules.
yes, even if we're free, we have to, still follow the rules and then be there when they ask us.
You're not exactly free. You're just
Mm,
at home.
you're just at home.
You're just right at home, but you still have consequences to face if you're not able to meet your deadlines.
Because there's one statement that remote work is easy. Remote work is, you
No,
can
it's
work anytime at any place,
no, no, you
and
cannot.
basically you are in control of everything. But when we're actually here,
No,
like, okay,
no,
this is so wrong. We have to go back to the way
no.
it was. Take me
Yeah.
back, please. And that's
No,
very
we
true.
still have targets. We still have targets. Even with freelance work, like, with freelance work, you still have a contract with a client, and you have to meet, the service level agreement. So what you agreed on. So the only freedom that you have is how you do the work. Because if you're in the office, somebody would be watching you. The tendency is somebody would tell you what to do. But if you're at home, you're free to do what you want. Like you're free to break it 25 minutes. You're free to break it 5 minutes. The important thing is that you develop, you actually produce. So that's the only freedom that we actually have. Not that we can work when we want to. No, it's not that. We have to deliver when we're told to, because we have to meet our deadlines. As I mentioned earlier, like working from home is really a test of character, because you really see who are performing despite not having a manager hovering over. So there's that.
Okay, now we know now the presence of working from home. Like in the future, if this works, what do you see? How telecommuting, how this would actually affect the tech industry, alone. Because if we put up other industries, it would be mind blown. But
Yeah.
in the tech industry, what is the future if working from home works? So, diba? I just merged remote work and working from home
Well,
into one
the good
statement.
thing, the good thing is that we will have more people hiring more talents from the Philippines, for example, because they're not constricted to just hiring somebody in the office wherever they are. Now, the challenge for the Philippines is, and I've been like a malfunctioning record, uh, a broken record about this. So we need to upgrade our skills because right now Estonia is kicking our ass when it comes to IT. Sure, we can develop our IT infrastructure. We can have more people and more businesses investing on us. But the question is it going to last? Are we worth investing on? On top of the IT infrastructure we need to develop, we also have to upgrade our skills. Because apparently, the most common comment made by people who have invested in the Philippines is that our developers are expensive, but they're not as good as, let's say, Estonian developers or Ukrainian developers. So that's what we also need to work on. But when
We
it
need
comes to changing our work, our way of working with working remote, there are so many opportunities. Um, you don't even have, you don't even need to have like a huge office or a huge warehouse for it. So yeah, there are so many opportunities. Now the question is improving the talent. Are we doing something about that? So first we improve the IT infrastructure and then we improve the talent, the talent pool. So we're ready for the future and we're ready for the next pandemic, hopefully not in the next 10 years. But yeah, that's what we really need. We need to have a talent pool that's competitive, really solid IT infrastructure, and a very well planned environment and city so we can consider ourselves a smart city. If we want to compete with countries like the Netherlands or and yeah, I've always been really vocal about it. I'm in love with Amsterdam. I love how they always reward talent and skill. You know that in Amsterdam, if you're talented or if you're highly skilled, they give you like 40% off for your taxes. Do we get that in the Philippines?
wow,
No, yeah. So they return
40%
your
off.
tax 40%. Like you get your tax returns if you're highly skilled. So, because they're trying to attract more talent. So, because they know, like, the more talented people you have more people who can innovate and create. So, the more competitive you are. So, where are we there? I really hope after this, we give more budget for the ICT and we improve our support for startups and the IT industry, the IT students. I hope there are more places where our IT students can actually practice because right now they're limited to their schools and they can only have access to the computer labs an hour every day or an hour every week. And that's not going to cut it.
Wow, I still am really shocked about the 40%. Like my next question would be
Yeah.
like how do you know if you're highly skilled? Like if you're in
How
a
do
pool
you
of highly skilled
yeah, how
people,
do you know
how
if
do
you're
you know
highly
if you're
skilled?
highly skilled?
Okay.
Mm.
Are you a critical thinker? Can you synthesize ideas? Can you execute ideas? That's how you know you're a highly skilled worker.
No, and then we also mentioned about students not really doing
Mm-mm.
having that amount of exposure, like they only have an hour at the school or at
Yeah,
even at home. And Sha just commented like DSC. So I think for those who don't know what DSC is, it's developer student clubs. So they really allow
there.
community, they really push community engagement with this. So with
Yeah,
developer
that's
student
right.
clubs, developers
I
create
think
their
we,
own
we need
group.
to do that. I think that's a very great community. I think we need to support that. I think we have to push that. Yeah, Francis, I need to work with you on that. Like when this is over, we will have to go from school to school and like really support that because I don't think we're supporting that enough. We need
Yeah,
to.
we
We
need.
really need to. Like this is urgent, okay? Like really, really urgent. It's not like see, like we were like we didn't really treat nurses with respect before. We took our IT people for granted. And look now, I mean, you're always talking about the nurses, the doctors, these are our frontliners. Have you forgotten about our IT people? Without our IT people, we don't have banks. We can't withdraw from the ATM. You can't have records. There's no financial technology. Like everything will just, go to hell without our IT people. So thank you, IT people, for never giving up on us.
Thank you, IT people who came to the office, even if it's ECQ, just to check if the
Yeah.
internet is working.
Yeah, to check the servers if they're not shutting down or something. So thank you so much. Thank you,
Or
thank you,
thank you,
thank you.
IT people, for taking the heat because internet is slow and
Yeah,
they're the ones asking forgiveness to people because they cannot work. Like really, I
yeah. I
really
think
admire those
like,
people who
thank
can
you
do
so thank
that.
you so much to Shadow said that. I will probably write him an email or something because we really need to like I'm very like I've always been really solution oriented and like with the whole thing it's just made me more productive because like it's like showing you all sorts of problems and we can't just sit here and say yeah that's what we need to do. We are aware of that. That's what we need to do. The question is when are we
What?
doing it?
Or how
So
are we
like
gonna do it?
how are we
Basically,
going to do it? Like we've talked about disruption for ages. Now we have to accept the fact that yeah, disruption is going to happen. It's just a matter of when and how intense it will be. And apparently it's very intense. It's happening now. So yeah, that's the first thing we'll do after the ECQ, huh? Friends, we have to like go to the schools and like we need to have like the developers, like we need to have DSC with schools. We need to have partnerships. Because this is serious. We can't lag behind other countries. We have so many talented kids. And it breaks my heart to know that, we're not investing enough on them.
let's do that after this. Oh, after this talaga, no?
After
Agad-agad.
this, yeah, after the 18th,
Because now we can see in the age of pandemic, we have people talking about Zoom, people talking about political
yeah.
issues. And aside from that, we have people talking about TikTok. So aside from doing TikTok, we can do become more productive.
Like,
So yeah,
like I really came to I've come to a realization that I'm really getting older because when people say TikTok, I really can't relate. I think that's what our younger people are doing now. So good for them.
I actually tried doing that once, and then it was really fun. I can agree, like it's fun, but I don't really have the time right now. Probably I am getting old.
Aging.
Aging. We are getting more focused on Netflix and
I
less focused
know,
on
I
social
know.
media. Okay, now let's go to employer, a manager standpoint. Okay, I listed some things that you said earlier: constant feedback versus
Mhm,
micromanaging.
mhm.
How do you become an effective manager during this time of a pandemic? Like, how do you motivate people? It's very easy to say, okay, do your job, do,
Yeah,
like, do
people do
this,
that.
do
Yeah.
that. But sometimes there are employees who are nails that needs like
Hammering.
a hammer to be to be actually productive. So for
Mhm.
managers or anyone who are listening, who are leaders, or you know CEOs in their companies, like how do they actually effectively motivate their people to do the work? Like, fear is definitely instilled
Yeah.
at this point, but how do they really motivate people?
Okay.
Say
Number one, there.
hi to all the people who commented, by the way.
Hi. Hi everyone. I'm sorry I can't see anyone who's commenting, but hi. I only saw Shad's comment. I think that's thank you, Shad, for like giving me an inspiration to know what to do on May 18th exactly. So that's another to do. That's a thing added to my to do list. Encourage everyone to do DSC. Yeah, firstly, there has to be clear and constant communication. The first thing that people need in a very uncertain time is for you as a manager and a business owner to reassure them that you're not going to leave them on thin air, that you're going to be there for them, you're going to be supporting them. In our case, we're still paying our people salaries. Okay.
Mm.
For the people who lost their jobs, particularly our clients that I also had to handle, I had to let go of them, which is not my favorite part of my job. We made sure that, and I'm so thankful for my accountant, we made sure that we applied for benefits for them. And my team are also, it's guaranteed that my team won't have to worry if ever something happens to them, God forbid, because we did have insurance policies in place. So if God forbid they get an infection, it's going to be covered. So that's one. Reassure your people that you're there for them. Even if like, yeah, you're not in the office, have visibility. Make sure that your people can still like text you or call you for questions, be available, but also have boundaries, because you also need your sanity and you also need to protect your mental health. So just have clear directives, just have meetings with them once a week, tell them how they are, ask them how they're coping, or if there's anything they need help with in order for them to be more productive. So it's a matter of communication. So it's also problem solving, it's collaboration. You don't just say, oh, do your job. You don't do that. Like, we don't know how we're going to do our jobs because we've been thrown off our routines. So you collaborate, like, okay guys, we are in this together. Do you have any great ideas? Like, how are we going to cope with this? Because that way you're giving them accountability as well, because you gave them a say as to how you're going to solve the problem. So
Like,
also here.
I think you just really mentioned that at this time we need to be connected even if we're not
Mhm.
close.
Yeah, social
Because
distancing doesn't mean isolation.
I love that. It should be a caption. Social distancing
Does
is
not
alone.
mean
You are
isolation.
never alone.
Yeah.
So we need constant communication, like telling us like this is going to be okay, even if
Mhm.
we're not really sure that it's going to be okay, but at
Yeah,
least you know that there's a hand holding you at this difficult
exactly.
time.
Like, somebody asked me, a couple of people asked me, because how I've picked up fights with the mayor and the mayor's lawyer, and somebody said like, it's amazing how courageous you are. Like, people were like saying, you're so courageous. How do you do that? Like, it's easy because when you have people depending on you, when your employees depend on you and their families depend on you, you don't have a choice. You have to make it work because everybody's affected. If you don't say anything, if you stay quiet in the event of an injustice, you're complicit. So that does give you strength, like, and encourage, bordering on insanity, because you just want to make things work.
Like leaders should take a stand during this
Yes,
time. Like if their
exactly.
employees are not really, if our employees are in what do you call that, rocky road. I'm naming ice cream
Yeah,
flavors right now, but
that is your job. Number one, first and foremost, your job as an employer, as a boss, as a manager, is to take care of your people. That's very true, our art of war. Like, there are only guys, like, if you're interested, if you're looking for the leadership books that you want to read or you should read, I only subscribe to two books: The Art of War by Sun Tzu and The Godfather by Mario Puzo. Those are the only leadership books you'll ever need. And because like everything has been like recycled. Like, when I read something, it's like, oh my god, like Sancho said this like thousands of years ago. Take care of your people, have their back, and they will follow you to the ends of the earth. And also, what's very important is that know when to reward them and when to make them accountable. You're not being a good leader if you're being friendly. If you care about your people, make them accountable. Call them out when you need to. Don't, as we've talked about this, Francis, don't be scared to be unpopular. This is not a popularity contest.
You need to push them. I actually don't have the experience to say yes, I will do that. But for people, for leaders there who are watching, this is what you should do. Like promote really constant communication, and for
Yeah.
employees in our part, how do we, aside from giving output, aside from showing them that they can trust us, personally, how do we actually become productive at this time? Like with ECQ, with everyone at home, there's actually a push of people to do something new or something to progress themselves. Like
Yeah, I think
everyone is
that's
doing it.
really unfair. Oh, guys, okay, when you see something like that, that this is the time for you to be productive, I think that's really harsh. We're all going through something very traumatic. This is a pandemic. This is not a joke. Like, this is not like dengue fever or anything. This is something that everyone is going through. We have lost livelihoods. We have lost jobs. Um,
We
our
have lost
lives,
lives.
we have lost lives. So no, you're not under any obligation to learn a new skill or to be productive. If you just feel like sitting there and being silent, nobody will judge you. It's okay. It's okay to grieve. Like, I don't think we talk about that enough. All of us, we're all grieving. Because, we're grieving for our old lives. We're grieving for the lives that we miss. This is not a productivity contest. Like what? Are you going to get a Nobel Peace Prize for like learning a new language or learning how to cook? No, you're not. Like if today all you did was just, survive, that's fine. You're not going to be judged harshly for it.
I'm actually looking for the words to actually say my next question. But my question is, you mentioned the new norm. Like, after this pandemic, will life be the same? Like, I
No,
really
I
have
don't
to
think
ask.
it, yeah, I really don't think, no, it will never be the same. Like, I think a lot of us will go through PTSD after this, post-traumatic stress disorder. Um, it will be the same. We will have to maintain social distance. We will have to wear masks. And if there's anything with the pandemic, it's teaching us it's better to be a small company because it allows you to pivot so quickly and to be agile. Whereas if you're a massive company, it's hard. So it also makes you rethink about, business and how you strategize. It's never going to be the same. We will live lives depending on deliveries. We will be dependent on online transactions, and hopefully, finally, the Philippines will have online payment systems, and we'll have more PayMayas and less manual stuff, less documentation and paper because it's just so inefficient. So no, it's not going to be the same. Travel is not going to be the same, that's for sure. Um, like yeah, you can say goodbye to piso fare, that's for sure. That's not happening anytime soon. This has like really altered everything. Somebody mentioned this just equalized everyone. Yeah, it did. It's a great equalizer, but at the same time, it also made things worse for people, particularly people who are living below the poverty line.
I'm actually pretty sad about, travel not being the same, but I think that's just me because I have a travel next month. But indeed, it's one of those factors
Hmm.
that changed during the pandemic. And we have no choice but to adapt, basically.
Yeah. Like
And
remember like with 9/11, after 9/11, everything changed at the airports. Like they got more strict. It's going to be the same for us, except that instead of scans, body scans, it's going to be like what, swab tests to
temperature scan.
temperature scans and things like that. Yeah, it's definitely going to change. We're not going to there's no such thing as going back to normal. It will never go back to normal.
Okay, I have to ask this question because this is related to the topic and this is also about the new norm stuff. A lot of companies are preparing to go back at work in
Mhm.
Cebu around May 16 or May 18 because it's a
18.
Monday. Yes. What can we expect when people are coming back to work? Like the
Well,
transportation.
Dolly already sent us a memo about what to do.
Mm.
Employers have to like provide vitamins. There has to be social distancing, and thank God they don't require us to have mass testing before, like, getting people back at work. But yeah, that's still different because as per the memo, only 50% can go back. The rest are still supposed to stay at home. Although, like, when we go back to slight normalcy on May 18, there will be transportation, so employers won't have to provide vans. So there's that, but it's more of a we have to be more careful at the office. So more sanitizers, more alcohol, more space, and like if you can see, like now people are selling acrylic dividers, like in
Ah, the
like
screen.
yeah, we will have more of that. That's what they're doing in the Netherlands right now. Restaurants have, can you imagine, acrylic dividers? Tables have acrylic dividers. Yeah, we can expect that.
There's a
New
new
way of
coming back
life.
to work, new
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. New world.
Okay. So there's a question like, what if people come back to work and then they end up getting COVID because they come back to work? Who
That
is to
is,
blame on that scenario? Is it
oh
what
God.
is good in that question? Like,
That is like,
you know,
okay,
we're talking about
that's
working
so
from home.
sad.
Like,
Yeah, I know. That's kind of, wow. That's like catch
or
22, literally catch 22 situation. If you go back to work, that's like my dad and I had that discussion last night because he works as an engineer for MERS, so he's on a ship for the most part. He can't come home yet. And I told him, like, stay there, extend, don't come home because like it will only make things worse. And according to him, a lot of the overseas Filipino workers who came home ended up getting COVID while they were on the flight home and while they were in the 14-day quarantine in the Philippines. So
no,
they would have, yeah, they would have been safer if they just stayed at work.
mm,
So like it's the same, like if like that's the thing, because a lot of people apparently are asymptomatic. So if you ask somebody to go back to work and you catch COVID at work, as employers, obviously we will have to take responsibility for that because they got sick at work.
there's a comment actually that it's by Diana. Hi, Diana. Hi,
Is that
Yana.
Yan? Hi,
She
Yan.
said that companies need to step up if the employee if they ask employees to go back. Make sure necessary efforts on sanitations are in
Yeah,
place.
we have to, because Dolly will kill us if we don't. We have a memo from Dolly. We have to provide employees with vitamins even. It's part
Yes,
of the memo. Yeah.
and I think it's not only the employers'
Hmm.
responsibility to help us be healthy. We have to stay healthy as
Yeah,
well.
I think like there's also a responsibility. Like it's a collective responsibility. We're all responsible to watch out for each other. So our job as employers will take care of our employees, obviously, but also when you're not in the office, please take care of yourselves.
Like we're all in this together. As
Yeah,
difficult as it sounds,
literally.
we are
Like
all in
this
this
is
together.
this is the ultimate team building test and team building activity because our survival depends on the common sense and selflessness of another person.
Both in tasks and in COVID. Like
Yeah, true.
we have to give out outputs that are good and good quality in order for companies to survive, and they also must provide us with safe environments for us to continue working for them. So I think it's a two way process. It's
Yeah,
basically
it's
it's
a
everyone.
give and take relationship, employers and employees. This is what I always tell my kids. Like, here's the thing. When you work for someone and you have someone working for you, there's a social contract that you as an employer will have to take care of your employee. and your employee has to deliver because your employer takes care of you. If one of you is not meeting, meeting the expectation, then it's time for one of you to leave. It's just like a relationship.
You have to break up. It's not
You
working
have to
out.
break up. It's not working out.
It's not you, it's me. But let's go back more to working from home. So we've talked about what to do as an employee, like scheduling, routine, dedicated space, having a good character to actually provide the work done. And then if you're an
Mhm.
employee or the leader, constantly communicate to motivate people. Make them feel safe that you are with them on this very hard time. Now let's go to some things that are not really included in the package. Like those, we've talked about internet, so that's one. How about people who are like working moms and dads? Like they are at home. So normally they have
I know
nannies,
it's going to be
they
hard.
have
Yeah, yeah.
yes, but with this COVID, or people who are sending their kids to school
We
and they
can't
have
even
to,
send them to school. Yeah, because like schools are out.
yeah, schools are out, so the kids are there with them 24/7, like like going
I
around
know.
like,
I
hi
have
mom, hi.
like two of my best friends are moms. They're amazing moms. They're working from home. It's amazing how they do it. They work. They're both in HR as well. They just what I've noticed is that they always make sure that they provide my godchildren activities. So what we can do as employers, especially for working moms, if you have the budget for them, please provide the working parents activities for their kids because believe me, it's going to be hard. And if you can, little gifts that you can, like send, like, okay, thinking of you, hope you're okay. Like yeah, I'm really fond of that. Our company's really fond of that. Like, giving presents to our team members as a show of appreciation. But right now it's impossible because nobody delivers and there's nothing. So just a show of solidarity and a show of support. Yeah, for parents, I think you have to give them leeway because it's harder. So if you're not able to and you're unwilling to give the parents leeway um, with work, then at least provide them with something that their kids can do while they're at work.
There's one post actually that a mom actually like placed their kids in a side, and then let, like, you're not allowed to go within that line. I don't know if it was a meme or if it was for mom, but
Mm.
there like it, there are companies who are actually pushing that, if you're a working parent, you have to have a boundaries. I think it's normal for
Yeah,
us to actually
it's
want that, you shouldn't be
yeah,
disturbed
but
because
it's
you are
hard, is
working.
it? Yeah, it's hard. Like, yeah, in an ideal world, sure, you can tell your kids not to, make a sound or make a beep while you're working, but we all know that's not going to happen. And like these parents didn't want this to happen as well. So why should we blame them for something they did not choose or did not want? So the least we can do is support them. Less judgment, more support. Because parenting is hard. I'm not a mom. I have fur babies. I have my fur kids, and even that is hard. Which reminds me, I have to give them their treats later because they just came from walkies. So, so yeah, it's hard. So at least give them support. Like you don't even have to give them we don't. I totally understand. We don't have the budget of New Zealand. What New Zealand did was that they printed books, gave it to all the kids so they can continue learning at home. We can't have that. So at least provide links to your employees who are moms or dads that they can use for their kids.
Now you mentioned about, kids like learning like books. Now it's really, when this is not really working from home, it's already like studying from home. There is a post that regular school will resume around June or August. I'm not really
August,
sure.
August. They said
August, right?
August. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And then some of them are pushing
Mm.
that this should be all online. This should
Right.
be,
That's the thing. Like, not everyone
mm,
has access to internet.
yes,
Okay, again,
yes,
internet infrastructure, guys.
yes,
We don't
and
have that.
also not everyone has access to computers. So I
Yeah,
remember
you
when
know.
I was growing up, I didn't have
Mhm.
a computer as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
only got it
A
when I
lot
was
of
18.
people, a lot of people do. Like Cathay Pacific, they're going through a
Mm.
lot. They got, they had they like, I think this is the worst year for them. No, 2019 and 2020 are really bad years for Cathay Pacific. But part of their corporate social responsibility program, they bought iPads, old iPads. They had it refurbished. Um, had an NGO distribute it to kids in Hong Kong who really needed it. So we can do that. Like, the government can do that if we really insist on having an online education scheme. Like, it's one thing to have an idea; it's another to execute it. We're fine with ideas, sure, but yeah, tell us, how are you going to do it? How are you going to fund it? That's what's recently, that's what's been annoying me, because people are just like, politicians are just throwing ideas everywhere, but okay, how are you going to execute it? How are you going to pay for it? We don't have those details, and it's getting really annoying. Now, like that, online education. Number one, do we have internet infrastructure for it? No, we don't. Number two, are all the kids, um, rich enough, or are they born to rich families that can afford computers for them or iPads? No. So how are you going to address that?
I think we are still a long way to actually
Yeah,
making this work. Like we didn't have a
it's
chance
hard.
in March to
Yeah,
actually prepare for it,
like
but now that we know that it's possible, we have
hmm,
to prepare for it, right?
yeah, and then now they're saying, and I feel bad for parents, because now they're saying the schools will provide lesson plans and the parents will have to teach their kids. These parents need to work so they can have food on the table for their kids. Why are you outsourcing teachers' jobs to their parents? And I know, sure, like, yeah, it's their responsibility as parents, but they also need to work. So how are we going to balance that? Can we find solutions that are win-win? This is not, as my husband always says, it's always like zero sum game, it seems, for the government all the time. It's like, how are we going to deal with that? The parents are already burdened with, losing their jobs or having to find money to pay the bills. And now you're expecting them to teach kids because we don't have classes um, at schools. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, are we prepared for this? I don't think we are.
We need to do something about it, but now I think we can just cope. But now that we
Mhm.
know that this is
Yeah.
indeed a problem, we need to do something about it. Like
Like,
it's
yeah,
not enough
what
to actually.
true. What we can do though is, like, BPOs, exact social distance in schools, build more buildings. There we go. If not for the pandemic, we're not going to be forced to limit the number of students per class. So finally, we're forced to do it. So that, like, we can just have social distancing at school. Like, limit 20 per class, then have like the acrylic dividers. That should work. Because we can't afford online classes for everyone.
I definitely agree with the online classes. It's really hard now
Hmm.
actually to just
Yeah.
work from home.
Yeah.
Imagine you're sharing your bandwidth with your kids and you have
Kids.
you have five
Yeah.
children. Like, oh my gosh,
Good
PLDT
luck.
closed
Yeah.
court. You need to do something about this.
I know. I
We
know.
need to open a new internet service provider as
We
well.
need to.
Yes.
We need to upgrade. This is just not working.
Hi. Okay. Before we get into our last two questions, I'd also like to plug this. This is the first ever live stream for Take It or Leave It. And we are doing this in support with Podcast United. This is a series of live streams featuring local podcasts to help raise funds for our frontliners via the Frontline Feeders Philippines. My sister is actually a frontliner in the UK, so this is
Oh, I
very
hope she's
close to my heart.
okay. Yeah. I hope she's
Yes,
okay. How is she coping with it?
yes, she's doing her best to do this because
Mhm.
they also have their own problems in the UK, which would
I
take
know,
another
I know.
hour to talk about,
True,
and I'm
true, true,
actually not the one
true.
better to talk about it. But yes, praying for all the frontliners in all
Mhm.
parts of the world. And if you want to support the frontliner, you can by donating to PayMaya via Podcast Network. So how can you donate? You can donate in two ways, via web or via the PayMaya app. You can donate using the link pymy.co.pna United and select where you want to donate. You can add your account. You can choose whether credit card or debit card and use the account numbers 0000 and donate from 50 to 10,000 pesos both for local and foreign transactions. By the end of this live stream, I will leave a comment below on how you can donate. You can also check out my old posts on how you can do that. You can also go to the PayMaya app and choose Podcast Network Asia. There is no limit to how much you can donate. You can donate anything if you can. And also you can support other community donation drives. For Miss Connie, we have the Bayanihan Mission. And for me, you can go to the Rice Movement. We know any help in this time of crisis is appreciated. So help what you can. Okay. Also, say very big, hi to all our viewers who commented also and who messaged me. Thank you so much to Shad, to Jen, to Frenche, to Doms, to Yana, to Rochelle. Rochelle actually gave a good point. Like, thanks for sharing ways to motivate and staying connected with the team. Hi, Rochelle. I hope you're doing well. And hi to everyone who is still with us during this 1 hour and 20-minute stream. I can't believe it's already 1 hour 20 minutes. It's
I know.
almost 7. Like time passes so quickly when we are at home. Now I have my last two questions for you. So basically, what we did today is we summarized like what is remote work, what is the future of remote work, how are we handling it in the Philippines, and how other countries are doing it. What we should do when we are an employee, like how to be motivated or how to motivate our teams as well, and what to expect when we come back to work after this ECQ. The next question is, if you're given a chance, like if everything was normal without the pandemic, like if everything goes back to normal, Judd, without the pandemic, like there's no limit with how many people should go to work, and then we found out that working from home works, should people go back to their old routines, or should they push for working from home to be a standard or for a must to do, like because it's
I
cost effective?
definitely say like push for working from home. We've already proven it works. Because number one, it solves our problem with traffic. It solves our problem with pollution. It solves our problem with absenteeism and tardiness. Because like the number one problem I had before with my mom, with with the women that work for me back in the day, like I had like single moms and I had mothers. A lot of times they'd miss work because they didn't have the yaya or the nanny for the day. So working from home like solves that. Working from home solves a magnitude of problems. We just need to improve our IT infrastructure. Um, Also, overhead wise, if we work from home, less overhead for the companies. So more chances of getting people bonuses and salary raises. So I'd say work from home.
Yes. Follow-up question. Normally, diba, there's cost. The cost expenses are getting
Yeah,
getting
overhead.
smaller.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-mm.
do we expect an increase of income if work from home works?
Okay, here's the thing about salary raises, guys.
Yes.
You are not entitled to a salary increase every year. That is not in the labor code. Sorry to have to break your hearts. Okay? That is company prerogative to give you an increase or not. In the same manner that, like, I think they already changed it before. You're only entitled to 5 leaves according to the labor code, and now it's 10. Okay, so if your company is giving you more than 10 or more than 5 leaves, that company is generous. You want to get a raise, the only advice I can give you is be productive, be a star employee, like, because we cannot reward a lack of productivity. We cannot justify giving you a raise when you're only doing your bare minimum. So you want that raise, be more productive. And we don't have a problem rewarding team members who actually produce. There has to be productivity connected to the race that you want. You need to justify that.
Also, next question before my last super duper question is okay. Now we're forcing, not forcing. Now we're looking into making working from home as a standard, and then what happens to our local businesses? Like, if I'm a, if I am a Filipino applying for a job here that I can work from home, wouldn't I just apply for a job outside the country who would give me the same uh, benefits
Amount,
with a higher
yeah,
income?
benefits, yeah.
Yeah. So how can our local companies be competitive when this will happen?
Yeah, what people look for every time they look for a job, it's not just about money, it's not just about salary, it's about the company culture, it's how the company supports their growth, career growth. It's about security. So when you say security, do you give insurances? Health insurance, life insurance, you have retirement benefits. So that's what people are looking for. More than anything, an employee would look for a company where he doesn't only fit culturally, but he can add something.
There's growth in that company.
Yes.
Okay. Now for my last question. We've tackled, I think, everything that we need to ask more about in a remote home, like how to be productive, how to communicate properly, what is required of us when we are working from home. Final words, Miss Connie. If you are to talk to all employees in the world who are working from home, what should they know? Also, you can add like to the HR, to the
Yeah.
CEOs. You can also
Okay,
talk
guys.
to the IT infrastructure people if
IT.
you
Hi, thank you, IT infrastructure people. So, guys, like if you're able, if you have the ability to work from home, if you're working from home today, I hope that you know that your management did everything they can to make it possible. It was a choice between ceasing operations or keeping the jobs, and they chose to keep the jobs. So, a lot of sacrifice went to that. Um, so if you're able to work from home, you're lucky. Your companies did so much, because a lot they could have easily closed and shut down and declared bankruptcy, but they didn't. A lot of these companies decided to take pay cuts to save jobs. So it hasn't been easy on everyone. So if you're working from home, you're so blessed. Please don't abuse it. Please be productive. Do what you can. Um, to be honest, it's not sales isn't as good, obviously, because business is down. So if you're still getting paid the same amount, then you're very, very lucky. So, don't take that for granted.
How about to our HR or employers?
The HR and employers who are working really hard to make sure that people get the benefits and people are still getting paid. We want you to know that we really appreciate everything that you do. HR people are, well, like this has been the most stressful for us HR people, to be honest. It's like making sure everyone gets benefits, having to fire people that we need to let go of because it's just not sustainable anymore. Creating business continuity plans. This has been quite a year. It's been exciting. If I don't think we have been sharpened as much as we have been this year.
And it's only for 5 months in.
I
Prepared,
know. It's like,
be
oh my
prepared
gosh.
to encounter
This,
more.
this is the longest. This is the longest year, and it's only May.
We're almost at half point, Miss Connie. We're almost half point.
I
Okay.
know. I swear, Rans. It's just weird. Like like for people who said like I'm ready for you 2020 guys. Stop challenging years, cause see like
2020 came out with a
bring it
bang.
on 2020, and like 2020 wasn't joking around. 2020 has no chill.
Okay. This is the last one. How do you address the companies who do not, like working from home?
Well, I really think they have to pivot and they have to, come to terms with the fact that times are changing, peoples are changing, technologies are changing. And, COVID-19 is the best technical advisor there is because we didn't have a choice. We went digital, more effective than any CPO there is. So yeah, if you're not online, if you're not mobile, if you're still like very traditional, your business is going to die. So
Exactly.
yeah, you really have to adjust. Like like your success or failure as a business, really depends greatly on your ability to adapt. Like this is not survival of the fittest. This is survival of the most adaptable. How do you adapt? How do you deal with adversity?
I think with COVID, everyone is forced to take things online. Like if you
Yeah,
don't have an
exactly.
online
Hmm.
presence, if you can't think of a way to function online, your business would either close down, you would
It
lay off
is. It is.
people. And
True. True.
just to insert this before we close this podcast, Airbnb just announced that they would be laying off a
Letting
couple of
go of
people.
people.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Yes, because
I'm really I'm sad about that. Also,
mm,
the thing about COVID is that even doctors, psychiatrists, okay, doctors are now doing telemedicine. Psychiatrists are now
yes.
doing online
Mm.
consults. So yeah, this is the new normal. Like the funny thing is, before even like HR people like me, they would insist like, "Yo, we want to meet people face to face." I'm like, why? It wastes time. Traffic's really bad. Now people are forced, oh yeah, we can actually do virtual interviews. We can do over the phone interviews. So that solves a problem with no shows and fallouts. So like, yeah, people have to adjust because like now you don't have commute, you don't have public transport. What are you going to do?
Like even if you're not really a fan of putting things online or adapting with
Yeah,
technology, you don't have a choice because COVID really forced us to transform.
really, it did. It really did.
And
Without
if
a
you're not
choice.
and if you're not capable of adapting or transitioning to remote work or for
Yeah.
doing this, you cannot really survive if this goes on for hopefully no more than a year.
Hopefully,
Uh,
hopefully.
Hopefully by December we can still celebrate Christmas with our families. That's my main
I
concern
know.
right now.
Like somebody was joking that by the time we get out of our houses, we'd be hearing Jose Marichan already, but hopefully not. It's kind of scary.
With everything that's negative right now, I actually see like how the Filipinos push themselves to adapt on this. They try to be
I
more
know, I
fun,
know, I know.
more
It's
more vlogs are
really
coming out.
like it's really like I think like with the current situation, it really brought out the best and worst in people. There are
Mhm.
days when I just get really down because like, oh, I can't believe somebody would be so greedy or be so inconsiderate. And there are days where like, oh, that's really cute. Like especially when I'm walking around, like I walked out and saw the people in Busai being really friendly and they're just doing what they can. Like that really reinstates your faith in people. And like also in Bayanihan Mission, it was really cute because we had a 16-year-old. He saved up money. He had 4,000 pesos in savings, and he gave it as a donation because he thought like there are other people who needed it. So it's stories of kindness like that that reinstates their faith in people, and more than ever we need that.
Yes, we do. And this basically wraps up our podcast about remote work. There's a lot of things. If I think if we are allowed to talk and not have work after this, we can still continue talking about remote work and then COVID, how to cope with this. But in the end, the only thing that we can do right now is to make most of what we can. And if we are working now and we are capable to work from home, we are very blessed. And let's not to take advantage of this. We need to prove that this works so that we can create
Yeah,
a new normal for the future of work. And if you can, please do help anyone. And for this podcast, we are supporting the Frontline
yeah.
Feeders
I
Philippines.
I also wanted to show like I wanted to sorry friends, shout out to
It's okay. It's
Yana.
okay.
I'm
Mm.
so proud of her. Diana Basa Martinez. Like I'm so proud of her. Like
Hi, Anna.
like of also like any other entrepreneur, she also had to deal with a setback given the situation. But you know what she did? She found seamstresses, and she's now sewing masks for people who really needed it. So yeah, it's amazing people who do that, to do their part and share despite the setback that we're all facing. It's just amazing. So we yeah, like more of that. It's just very inspiring. So it kind of makes you feel better.
Yana says, "Aw." Thanks, Miss Connie. But yeah, we are here. It's very easy to feel negative with all the toxic posts in social media, with all
Yeah, yeah.
the bad news that we are receiving, with all things that
True,
we can't
true.
control. But at this point, we can do now, as we are staying at home, helping flatten the curve. We need
Mm-mm.
to make most out of it and then help one another, because this is a we problem, not an I problem. So it's not everyone's for himself.
Yeah,
It's
it's a we
everyone's.
thing.
It's a we thing. So everyone is on board that we need to really hope for the best, and wait for this COVID to actually die down. Yes, and before we end this podcast, I'd like to give a big thank you to my guests for today. Thank you, Miss Connie, for being the
Welcome,
first guest
Chance.
for
It's an
live
honor.
stream.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you
so
for
much.
inviting me.
Yes, even if it's a Wednesday, it's a work day, but thank you for taking the time to do this
Of
with
course,
me.
of course,
And
of
to
course.
all our viewers, to everyone who joined the podcast, thank you so much. And this is again for our frontline feeders. You can visit PayMaya and donate via web or the mobile app, and choose Podcast Network Asia as your beneficiary. All proceeds will go to Frontline Feeders Philippines. This is the first podcast in the series of today. So we are the first one in Podcast United, a series of local podcasts aiming to help our frontline feeders Philippines. And of course, before we end, Miss Connie, can you hear me?
France, I can hear you. Is that you or my net?
Hello? Hello?
Oh,
Yes, or did the
there.
internet?
See, IT infrastructure, guys. We really need to invest. All right.
Oh my gosh, we just made a point that internet is a problem.
IT,
Okay.
guys. Like, what time is it? Like, I guess people are starting to stream on Netflix already. So that explains a lot. Work is done. People are streaming.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you. Shout out to everyone.
Thank
Shout out to
you. Thank you,
Dom. Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye. This has been Tech It or Leave It, finding your true passion in tech, one podcast at a time. This has been hashtag ECQ Diaries, what COVID-19 has taught us, the reality of working from home. Don't forget to donate if you can to Podcast Network Asia, and if you can, go to Bayanihan Mission or the Rice Movement as well. Thank you so much, Miss Connie. And
Thank you,
thank you
Francis.
to
Thank you,
all who joined.
everyone.
Take care, everyone. Have a good week ahead
Bye.
of you. Bye.
You take care of
Take care.
yourselves. Bye.
Bye.